First, I think new product research will focus on how metadata and digital content connect. Because so far we saw mainly two quite separate strands of product development. So there was a very strong product development on metadata-related products, such as academic scholarly tools and services, metadata of cultural heritage institutions, how it's discovered, how it's consumed. And digital content was treated separately because it's a relatively new thing for this kind of products, and because the techniques to consume it, to publish it, and to engage audiences with digital content are quite different. But we increasingly see that the magic is actually in how we connect these two things successfully. So you need to both, we need to both develop effective tools for discovery, which are usually based on metadata, but then right away we need to switch to consumption, which is often based on digital content. So there is a lot of interesting work going on in developing standards, interoperability approaches towards discovering these both mediums together. We see movement from standards on one side towards the other side, and the other way around. We see attempts to do these things together. This is very interesting, and I think this is where the most interesting things will happen in the coming 5 years. I think Europeana is a very unique place thanks to its very wide coverage. So we are a very ambitious initiative. We are calling ourselves a European digital platform. We work with many different countries, languages, sectors. We are cross-domain aggregator. So in one word, our challenge is variety. We need to accommodate a very wide variety of content types, of languages, of formats, of platforms on which the metadata and content are hosted, of people who are working with this and of their capacities. We need to accommodate all this variety and to be able to streamline both metadata and content through our centralized platform, to be able to process these very different streams and to use it to implement engaging user experiences on the other side. So our ability to effectively and efficiently, because our resources are limited, work with this variety on several levels, on the level of metadata standardization, on the level of accessible APIs, on the level of workflows which can actually make sense for people. Because we increasingly understand that the better you manage to integrate the aggregation workflow, discovery workflow into the everyday work of people who actually own and curate this metadata, the better chances you have to build a sustainable system. So on all these levels, we need to be smart and innovative to see how we can really take these huge amounts of very interesting content and streamline it and deliver it to end users in different places and on different mobile devices and who are interested in different things. I think this is the main challenge of Europeana. Aggregation of content is really the first step, and the way you do aggregation actually says a lot about who you are, who we are as a platform, who we are as a product, who we are as a digital experience. This is where we're going to put most of our efforts in the coming 2 years. We had several innovation projects recently, and we have now chosen the way ahead based on all these efforts. So I think this is both our challenge in the coming years, but this is also our unique strength and our unique point. I think the way we're going to solve this will be very interesting for other digital libraries to watch, like NDL, like initiatives in other continents and countries, and we are also very willing to exchange our experience on the challenges of aggregation. So yeah, that's what I think is is the most interesting thing, and that's I think what is unique about Europeana. So we basically engaged many different stakeholders in very open brainstorming process to understand what were the strengths of the traditional aggregation approaches and what were the weaknesses. And we analyzed the responses, we analyzed their thoughts, and it became obvious that we need to combine two directions of work in whatever we're going to do next. So first, we really need to be innovative. We need to understand what changed in how people are ready to work with digital systems. What are the changed expectations? And expectations grow very quickly. We cannot just come with a 10 years old approach to a museum and expect that it will excite them. We need to be more innovative in how we collect their data. On the one hand, we need to be innovative. On the other hand, we need to respect legacy, which is still very abundant in the sector. It's not a secret, but the cultural sector is more challenged in terms of technology than other sectors, and for sure than the commercial sectors. There's still a lot of legacy systems, legacy standards, which also have a lot of value. They have been developed during many years, and a lot of thought have been put into them. So this, the way we will manage to combine innovative approach towards respect to legacy, support for legacy, will ultimately impact. This will actually determine our ability to impact the field on large scale. This is our main conclusion from the innovation process that we held. We're using this a lot. We are very active on social media platforms. We are listening to users there. And actually one of our big lessons that we learn is that this is something of a cliche, like you need to go where your users are rather than expecting them to come your way. But like many other cliches, it takes to experience it yourself until you really realize and internalize it. So we had this mental switch a couple of years ago, and we know that we should put much more efforts into reaching out to these platforms rather than expecting users to come our way. So the combination of developing our own end user products and reaching out to these platforms is our strategy in this field, in the engagement field. It's really a lot about community, about user community and understanding user community and developing user tools geared towards this community. So quite a substantial shift in our thinking was what we called thematic approach. So we switched from having one generic portal for all the content, which we are still having, into a thematic approach, which is about developing a series of portals dedicated to a specific theme. So we have now Europeana Fashion, which is a fashion-related portal, Europeana Music, Europeana Photography, and we are planning several others are in the making. The idea there is really to find the best of both worlds. So to create a theme that, on the other hand, will have a very pronounced user community that is interested in this theme and will engage with the website on the long term, will come back, will become some kind of hardcore of the usage. On the other hand, we are using people, we are held by people in our professional community to maintain the website, to curate some specific components like blogs and the curate exhibitions, so that it looks a bit more than a mechanic extraction of data, even from a very interesting data set as Europeana, but something which is also maintained by the real people behind it. So in terms of usage, you asked about usage, we saw that these kind of thematic products have much higher stickiness and level of engagement of users. So users come back, users spend much more time on these websites, so it means that we can generate a much more meaningful and long-term dialogue with our communities. We can build these communities, we can understand them better. So we definitely think that's the way to go. So our flagship product in crowdsourcing is Europeana 1914-18. These 4 years we are marking the centenary of the First World War in Europe, which is a major historical event. There's still, and there are a lot of memories, a lot of memorabilia, a lot of objects which people keep as memory from their relatives, from people who participated in events in different ways. And we held a series of collection days across European cities where citizens bring these objects or bring their stories or share whatever they have to share, and with the help of professional librarians and professional curators, these items actually make it to the Europeana dataset. So this is our main crowdsourcing effort. It was very interesting. We really see what is the potential of connecting to the community, what is the potential of intersection between physical and digital there, because these are physical meetings with a lot of emotions sometimes going on. We try to record them and transform them to digital medium so that they stay here for future generations. The feedback was amazing. We think this project is one of the highlights of Europeana. It's on both citizens who have had the opportunity to engage with such an initiative, to bring their stories, to bring their memories. General public press coverage was always very, very active and very positive, because press is looking for such connections. Further on, we could actually follow up on this project. So, for example, we asked the community to help us transcribe some of the letters which were sent by soldiers home during the war. So it resulted in a whole new project and direction of actually collection of projects, which is called Transcribaton. This is also very interesting. These are people who are helping us to actually transcribe, type handwritten letters. You wouldn't believe that this is something which can engage people in the 21st century, because it's lengthy, it's mechanical, it's this is very different from our usual engagement with digital tools, which is very short-lived and with the often attention span. So it actually shows us that digital has potential for to surprise us still. It's not what we expect from it. It only demands some creativity, ingenuity, and we can create totally new experiences also for youngsters, which are often said not to be interested in the old analog world. Actually, yeah, it's younger generation which is often quite responsive to these kind of initiatives, because it strikes a chord with their lives and what they experience. So there are love letters, and if you ask to transcribe a love letter, then a young person would be interested, engaged, get emotional. So it's really a matter of what you offer, what is the experience, what is the positioning. I think one of the main themes of Europeana is creating this connection between generations. How do we show to the young generation that a lot of their aspirations and struggles were experienced in the past by previous generations? We're all people, and digital doesn't change that. So yeah, I think there's a huge potential here in actually connecting a new generation to their history, to their heritage, from a totally new perspective. Yeah, first time enjoying the workshop, great time. It's an amazing event. You've put together a great program. National Digital Library of India seems like a huge accomplishment. You've done all this in 3 years. So many people involved. So much expertise has been put into the project, and still so much energy behind it, and so much ambition to go ahead. So for us, it's an incredible cooperation partner already and in the future. We are certainly looking forward towards exchanging ideas, expertise, working together. For me, as a technologist, I'm very interested in your approaches to technology on different stages of National Library, on its different levels. So how you aggregate content, how you process it, how you normalize it, how you make it available for users, how you make it available through APIs. All these subjects are very relevant for us. We've been doing this for many years. And you are doing it fast, with a lot of energy, and you are learning from experience, from previous experience. So I think that a technological cooperation should go on. Perhaps we should establish some kind of ongoing conversation channel so that our teams can meet and discuss approaches and strategies, and I'm sure that that will benefit both sides.